Lore Together is proud to be part of the Boss Rush Games Network. Feel free to find out more at bossrushgames.com/network. Hi, I'm Safi.
And I'm Mystic.
And this is Lore Together. This is the husband and wife team to go over all the storytelling, world building, and characters of video games because it's what we like to do together. We lore together.
Yes, this is episode 101.
We're right in the thick of things then.
Yep.
It's triple digits officially.
Yes.
We are
just going to continue what we were doing.
Yeah, it's working out for us so far. We're just going to keep doing it. And how can people support us to keep doing this?
Well, there's two different ways. Well, actually, first, if you want to contact us, you can do that multiple different ways. Twitter, Instagram, Mastodon, Reddit, YouTube, and Steam, all in the description. Steam isn't really communication, but you can, I guess, watch what we're playing or...
Exactly.
Buy us games. That'd be cool. If you want to buy us games to cover. We've had people do that.
We've had people do that, yeah.
And like support us beside buying us games. You can do that in two different ways. One is 5 stars, thumbs up, hearts, whatever it is, wherever you're listening. We do appreciate it. The other way is through Patreon at patreon.com/loretogether, where you can pay a per episode pledge to get early access to episodes, early access to Let's Plays, access to our mini episodes, one of which is coming up soon, and making choices in our Mass Effect Let's Play that is currently ongoing.
Yes, yeah. That's one of the biggest ones that's happening right now. So please feel free to support us. We love doing the show and we love hearing from you guys. We love knowing that this is something that people really enjoy. I also enjoy trying to guess what my husband has researched.
What do you know about anime?
A lot? Ish? No, I don't actually know a lot. I have not kept up with it. So anime was something that when you were a nerd in the early aughts in high school, that's what you were into.
This is predating the early aughts.
Yeah. No, anime's been around obviously much longer than that.
Yes. This is not an anime property. It is very heavily inspired by certain anime properties, mostly, I think, Appleseed.
Oh, I don't even know if I know Appleseed. And a funny story, I remember there was actually... Gosh, somebody tell me if they also know this. The first time I watched anime was actually on the Sci-Fi Channel, and they talked, and it was like a series talking about we are doing a bunch of ideas of like how you think life got to Earth unscientifically. Just tell a crazy sci-fi anime story, and they were each like a minute to an hour long, trying to explain how humanity happened on Earth. And it's anime answers. So it was some of the most bizarre stuff. Ghost people from Mars, crossbreeding of like anime chicks with monster dudes, but not like, but PG-13-ish?
Yeah, fair.
Yeah.
It is anime.
Alien experiment PG-13-ish too. Like not romancy.
What do you know about anime-based first-person shooters?
I know absolutely. Persona? No, I don't know anything.
Also, Persona would not be from this decade, I don't believe.
No, I just mean of any of them. That's the closest I could think of, but that's not the same thing.
This is a 1998 game by an American developer.
Oh.
Monolith Productions. Not Monolith Soft, Monolith Productions. Monolith Soft are the people who do who did Xenogears and currently do Xenosaga. Is it Xenosaga?
Yeah, I think it's
Xenoblade.
Oh, Xenoblade. Okay.
Yeah.
There's a lot of Xenos out there. I'm sorry.
So this is a game called Shogo Mobile Armor Division.
I feel like I know of this, but I'm not sure.
You may have heard me mention it in passing. It's a game about giant robots in warfare.
Okay.
This was one of my first real exposures to anything anime, even though, as I said, this is not an actual anime, but it is very heavily anime inspired.
Okay, good to know.
This was right near the beginning of anime making a big splash in the West. In fact, looking it up for this episode, Toonami just started broadcasting Voltron the year before this.
Oh, yeah. Voltron was a big thing.
That was the Moltar years. Remember Moltar before Tom took over?
No,
anyway.
I didn't. Look, I know of Voltron. Voltron was somewhat
No,
known to
Toonami
me.
had the Moltar years, and then it became Tom on the ghost ship Absolution, and there's a whole bunch of lore there, too, because they had their own stories built in. Yeah.
Okay.
So
you've lost me.
I was big onto Toonami. So... yeah, so Voltron just kind of broached into the pop culture through Toonami about a year before this game came out, with Dragon Ball Z and Sailor Moon releasing the same year that this game came out. So we're talking it's right there in the beginning of the
Dragon
pop culture
Ball Z
wave.
And Sailor Moon are a lot of people's first, or at least in our generation, I'll say, first anime. And they are very interesting choices.
And I'll argue, that push is when anime first seemed to kind of get into American pop culture and remain.
Yeah.
Right around this time, I think you also have Princess Mononoke come into cinemas and stuff.
Oh, man, such a good movie. And that's when Miyazaki became part of, like, the niche, zeitgeist of niche cultures.
Yeah.
For, like, I remember it was a big deal the time that I went on a date with my boyfriend in high school to watch Spirited Away in theaters. First of all, so adult, we went to a theater by ourselves that was in the city. Oh, man. How crazy. I get to hold his hand and nobody tells me no, and there's nobody to watch me. Okay, sorry. I'm just... Now, anyway, very much in the zeitgeist.
At this point, I had gotten into Mech Warrior and Earth Siege, games we might cover. I don't know if Mech Warrior is quite... where it is story-wise. Earth Siege definitely has some story to it. Star Siege has some story. So I never got into anime until Toonami started showing Gundam Wing in 2000.
Gundam Wing is definitely just like top tier. You think it's just stupid robots, and there is way much more than the robots. That is like...
we are never touching the lore of Gundam because I can't.
Deep stuff. Do you know what? I wonder. We should look up if Wizard and the Bruiser have, because they would do it right, and they would hate themselves probably for it, but they would do it right.
Oh, it's like people have asked if I would do Kingdom Hearts, and it's like I can't. Like,
did we try to, or is this like a fever dream of mine?
The titles of the games themselves
are their own episode.
Would be their own episode. So no, we're not touching Kingdom Hearts unless somebody wants to drop like $100.
No, wait, I will take that. Sir or ma'am, if you're listening, sir, ma'am, or gender rebel, if you're listening, if you would like to give us $100 to us so we can research the ridiculousness that is Kingdom Hearts, I'll take it. But that is, I think, the only way we're going to do it. And it has to, okay, our Patreon doesn't reach $100.
You can do more than the Patreon tiers.
One singular person... or one singular entity gives us $100 all at once.
Oh no, I would happily do it if the Patreon reached $100. Please do that too.
All right, well that's your funeral. That's your funeral. All right, we've talked long enough about this, but we need to go to, what is it called now?
Shogo Mobile Armor Division.
Mobile Armor Division.
Yeah, this was my first quote anime.
That's so strange.
Because this was what my life thought anime was, and then I got into Gundam Wing, and through Gundam Wing, Dragon Ball, and I've kept up with Dragon Ball, like up to Dragon Ball Super and stuff. I've kind of kept up with it, not as fanboyishly, but I've dabbled in it and watched it.
It's a good pulpy show. Like if you want some pulp and you want some guys punching each other in space, like it's great. It does the job.
And if you want it to be funnier, watch Dragon Ball Z Abridged. Anyway.
That's all I know. I don't know any of the other real shows.
This is a first-person shooter with two different modes of play.
Okay.
First is running around on foot.
Okay.
The second is running around in your giant mobile combat armor.
Nice.
Yeah.
So you have a mech, or is it just a combat armor?
So this is an interesting thing. There is definitely a difference between Western-style mechs and Japanese-style, Eastern-style mechs, because Western-style mechs, big, boxy. You got, tons of controls and everything. There's that one game for the Xbox that has like that giant controller with joysticks and stuff. Yeah, I forget what it's called. But when you get into Japanese mechs, they're a lot more sleek, a lot more just human shapes. You know, you're putting your arms in the arms and stuff. It's kind of more like an exoskeleton than a thing you are piloting in that way.
Yeah, that's fair.
Broadly speaking, obviously, there are distinctions. So
we still do have Power Rangers. So
we are taking on the role of Sanjuro Makabe, a mobile combat armor pilot and commander in the United Corporate Authority.
United Corporate, the UCA, United Corporate Authority.
The UCA Army, during a brutal war for the planet Kronos and its precious liquid reactant, Kato. Yeah. It is a ridiculously difficult game to get running on modern OSs. I am not 100% sure we're going to be able to do this for our stream.
Oh, no.
Yeah. I don't know what we're going to do if we can't.
I'm going to highly suggest, Mystic, let's do a poll for the backup. Let's have the patrons decide what would be a good backup for that.
It's not impossible. I did get it to run a couple of hours about 2 years ago, according to GOG.
Oh, wow.
But that was a different PC, and, you know, maybe the cosmic rays will just not let me run it. I don't know. It's just...
You guys may laugh, but cosmic rays have been known to take computers down. There's
in
reason
fact,
why
cosmic rays are the running theory for a singular event that happened in Super Mario 64 speedrunning.
Are you serious?
Yeah, there is a unreproducible glitch. Nobody knows how it happened, but it cut like half of the course off for one of the speed runs that someone was doing. There's video evidence of this thing happening, but nobody's been able to reproduce it. Nobody knows why it happens. And the current running theory is Cosmic Ray flipped a bit and just bamfed Mario up the clock tower. Like
I think it was it. No, I think this was not This American Life, but I think it was the show that's not around anymore that we used to listen to, podcast.
Reply All?
Yeah. They talked about it, how there's certain switches. This is especially true in anything that's an electric vehicle now. You can't just have one switch.
Yeah, you need redundancies.
You need at least a triple redundancy for things like brakes and stuff, because photons from space will cause crashes.
Yeah.
Moving on.
Yeah.
We've
diatribed we haven't even gotten
much
to the game yet. So, but for once, we're not delving into the story of the game, at least not directly. Rather, the backstory. The Wayback Machine was a huge resource for this.
Thank you, Wayback Machine.
Finding the website from 1998.
Okay. Mystic, what were you doing in 1998?
I wasn't even in high school yet.
Oh, I was not either.
So
obviously, well, obviously not, because you are older than me.
Yeah. So I never knew when I played this, because no internet. I just bought the game and played it, and if it was in the manual, I don't remember that.
Yeah.
But the devs had written a huge backstory for this, and even had plans for expansions and a sequel.
Oh,
that
wow.
never quite panned out. It's not an unsuccessful game, but it's not successful enough. This is also the days when indie developers had to just shop their games around constantly.
Yeah, so you were constantly hoping there would be a publisher who would support what you're doing. Yeah. And even then, it was on the publisher's terms more likely than not.
And the sequel they were working on, they did eventually start a sequel, but it ended up becoming No One Lives Forever, which we may cover. I've never actually played the game, so I couldn't tell you. We'll begin in the early lives of our protagonists before we go back and cover the larger backstory.
Okay.
So, Sanjuro Makabe and his older brother Toshiro were orphaned at an early age and ended up at a military academy on the colony world upon which they were born. I do not remember the name.
Animes and Disney killing off parents left and right, I'm telling you.
At the academy, they befriended two sisters, Kura and Catherine, two daughters of Commodore Nathaniel Akuraju. They also became friends with Baku Agata, a scrawny runt of a kid who often was the victim of bullies. Sanjuro is one of those guys who seemed to be successful at whatever he attempted to do. He was smart, he was popular, with a lot of bravado and a good sense of humor. Toshiro, on the other hand, had been tormented by their parents' deaths, and as a result could be more cunning and far more deliberate than his brother. He was withdrawn and tended to self-isolate. Toshiro resented Sanjuro for his ease with people in social situations. More importantly, though, he resented the favoritism Sanjuro earned simply by being so damn likable. Yeah, basically, younger brother hasn't, like, too young to have it sink in. Older brother deals with the trauma, you know?
Right. Well, I don't know how realistic that is, because even if you deal with something like that when you're really young, you don't really forget it.
Right.
You just manifest your coping differently.
Yeah.
Like, okay. Another diatribe. I'm really sorry. There's a really, this is going to be really dark diatribe too. So, at the beginning of a book that I really like, that is a nonfiction account of the Donner Party called the
I'm sorry, what?
The Indifferent Stars Above, a nonfiction book about the Donner Party.
Why are we doing this? Okay. All right.
It begins with a story of one of the girls who survived that excursion. If you don't know what the Donner Party is, Wikipedia it. It's a very, if you read all the details, it's a very intriguing dissection of, like, when things go wrong, how do humans act? It's a nice, and if you're into horrible things like that, you'll find it interesting to read. Now you know how sick Safi is, sorry. But the beginning of it talks about how one of the girls who was a child when that happened and went through all of what she went through, she would be playing on the playground with her peers and then out of nowhere just stop and just start sobbing.
Right.
Like, inexplicably out of nowhere. And although in this video game it might be the idea that, like, no, he's shaking it off and it hasn't really bothered him.
Yeah.
We find out as we look through history that that's actually not how that works.
Well, this is very much this is early anime,
Yes.
very much anime inspired.
Yes.
And, you know, to kind of nail that home, Kura and Sanjuro have a love-hate relationship.
Of course.
They thrive on teasing and abusing each other. It was an elaborate, frankly naive form of flirtation for them. We're talking about younger teens at this point.
Oh, the pranking with that flirting just bothers me.
Eventually they
I
do
hate
become a couple, you know, to no one's real surprise.
Yeah.
So, yeah, we're definitely dealing with early anime tropes and everything.
Yeah, a lot of that.
Shortly after the friends all graduated, Commodore Akaraju's wife died in an attack on the colony. The situation was complicated. He knew she was in danger, but his orders were to remain at his post. Soldier to the last, he stood by his post even after having been denied a replacement. Basically, he tried, like, look, can you just send someone here so I can go? No.
That is cold, too.
And even his daughters came to him and pleaded, like, go find her, help her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the one that would, like, if something were happening to you and little buddy came to me and said, save daddy, that's okay. That's what my child needs. That's what they need me to do that. I'm going to go. I'm sorry. That's just how it is.
So when his wife died in the attack, Akaraju simply swallowed his shame and grief and internalized it all. Kura railed against him, calling him a murderer and a coward.
Yeah, that's a fair response for that age. Yeah.
He let her have her say without defending himself or trying to calm her, feeling that absorbing her anger was his duty as her father.
Therapy
maybe get a therapist,
would be
but
good.
Catherine, meanwhile, coped with the situation in a very different way. She knew that her father would have likely been killed if he went.
So wait, which one's the younger one? Is Catherine or?
I don't know that information actually.
Okay. Wait, never mind.
We know the brothers who's older and who's younger, but I don't remember who.
Would the sister that's with the older brother be the same age? Would that be a fair distinction? As like that's the difference in age between? I'm sorry, there's a lot of nouns going around, and I completely forgot which one was going to which person.
Kura is with Sanjuro.
Sanjuro, and is Sanjuro the older brother?
Younger.
He's the younger brother.
Yes.
So Catherine might be the older?
Might be, or
I don't know. We
close
have
enough.
to. Yeah, we'll have to.
I don't
see.
remember. I'm sure it might have been on that website, but Navigating the Wayback Machine is not an exact science.
No, it's not. It's very much.
Will the site exist in 2007? Who knows? Will the site exist? Does that one page exist? Who knows? Like, yeah.
Does that page accidentally exist somewhere else on a different website?
Honestly, I found it so the page exists in 2004, but like later on I looked up some of the mech models, but those pages only existed in 2003.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
all right. Okay, so
I tried is what I'm saying.
Kura is the same age as Sanjuro.
Or they're a couple at least.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's fair too.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
So she knew. So Catherine, the other sister, coped with the situation very differently, knowing that her father would have likely been killed if he went, and that the orders had kept him safe. So she never blamed him. Mm-hmm. He goes, we lose both parents, you know?
That's fair. Yeah, I get it.
However, the implications of the military career she was about to enter suddenly crystallized for her. She didn't like the outlook, so she vowed never to use a weapon against another, essentially becoming a pacifist, and arranged to enter a non-combat position in the UCASF, mostly so she could be with her friends who were all signed up.
Oh, wait, who joined UCAFF?
Catherine.
Catherine did. The pacifist?
Yes.
Okay. Wait, FF stands for?
United Corporate Authority, I think it's Space Force.
Okay, SF. Okay, I heard FF and I was like,
Oh,
what?
fair.
Friendly fire? What?
There is some of that in this game.
Oh, no. Spoilers!
And we're not going to cover the story of the game at all.
Oh, okay, cool.
But in the game, there's actually, for the time, it's not used often or super well, but there are 2 points in the story where you can make a choice that changes the outcome.
Wow.
This is technically in development before Half-Life, and Half-Life had no choice. Like, choice-based narrative, like 1998, go. Like,
wow, guys, this is crazy.
Yeah. For his apparent courage and staunch commitment to duty during the attack on the colony, Akaraju was given command of the UCASF Leviathan, the flagship of the UCA, United Corporate Authority.
Good little drone.
Yeah.
Good little drone gets a hat.
And promoted to admiral. That the defining moment of his career should also be such a defining moment in his own personal life drove him to pursue his duty to the UCA even more religiously, because doubling down on stuff works so well that often.
If I don't think about the failures of my personal life, by doubling down into my professional success, the only thing that will ever be in my mind is success, right? I'll never have to feel feelings ever again. Yeah.
Shortly thereafter, Admiral Akaraju was sent to Cronus by UCASF High Command to deal with what would become known as the Cronian Revolution. Now we dive into the deeper backstory. Cronus. At first glance, Cronus, technically 46 Cronus D.
Wait, I'm going to let you finish.
Yeah.
But anything that starts with the sound crone before it in any game we've ever covered is trouble. Chronica, Chronos. We haven't even covered that. But like the crow sound, crone, start crone. Just crone. CRONKRON, crone, that's bad sign. Already bad sign. Bad sign, guys.
So, at first glance, Cronus, technically 46 Cronus D, the fourth planet of the nearly dead Cronus system, seemed to be an unlikely place to play such a critical role in the future of humanity. It is a hostile, barren world with a poisonous atmosphere, incessant volcanic and seismic activity, and an unexceptional collection of minerals easily mined from hundreds of thousands of more accessible asteroids and moons, not to mention the handful of human colonized worlds. However, when a deep space probe sent to the system to collect scientific data for cataloging purposes detected a compelling organic material in its soil samples, people took notice. In the end, 3 of the most dominant megacorporations, Andra Biomechanics, Armacham Technology Corporation, and Shogo Industries, created the United Corporate Authority, basically their own military branch, with the goal of jointly funding manned expeditions to the planet.
Okay.
That early venture found rich deposits of the organic material dubbed Kato for the probe that discovered it, the Shogo Deep Space Probe Katoki.
Okay.
It would be over a decade before the benefits of Kato energy would become apparent and interstellar travel would change forever. Each of the mega corporations contributing to the Cronus expedition had a vested interest in the mission at hand. Andra Biomechanics, founded in Moscow in the early 21st century by Natalia Andropov, a renowned researcher on the Human Genome Project, grew to specialize in a variety of genetic engineering, cybernetic, and mechanical engineering interests. Their products included mechanically bioengineered technologies, cybernetically assisted prosthetics, and even anthropomorphic mobile engineering vehicles, MEVs, used in construction, mining, terrestrial or otherwise, and demolition.
Okay.
They also did early research and development of mobile combat armor, MCAs, and armaments. Mobile combat armor is kind of a lot that we talk about.
Okay, I'll try to retain as much of it as I can, but I kind of feel my eyes kind of like glazing over with this history lesson, so if I miss anything, please forgive me, Mystic.
Shogo Industries is one of those Japanese conglomerates that has its hands in everything. Divisions of the company handled a wide range of things from advanced technology to publishing to the manufacturing of children's clothing.
Because those are all clearly related.
I mean, have you looked into what Yamaha, Mitsubishi, Panasonic, LG, like all these Asian conglomerates are into? It's everything. I have literally seen, we've had LG TVs. I have had LG brand toothpaste.
Yeah, that feels wrong on so many levels.
Yeah,
but
it was
that's
volcanic salt toothpaste. It was kind of cool.
But yeah. Okay, yeah, I tried that. That's crazy. No, I get what you're saying, and American companies do it too. I mean, European companies definitely do it too.
Yeah.
But I just hate thinking about it.
Yeah, with the advent of MEVs and MCAs from Andra Biomechanics, Shogo decided to offer their own highly advanced line of giant mechanized suits. Their designs were well received both for functionality and aesthetics, since they are sleeker and kind of have a better look to them than the more boxy ones from Andra Biomechanics.
Okay.
They also distinguished themselves for space-based product lines and microcomputer technology.
Okay.
Armacham Technology Corporation got its start with the manufacture of commercial satellites and ground-based communication systems. Eventually, they would expand to encompass civilian and military vehicle manufacturing, musical equipment, security systems, and, predictably enough, MEV and MCA technologies.
Mm-hmm.
Their MCAs, they discontinued the MEV line after some early experiments, immediately caught the attention of the private sector and various military organizations alike. Sleeker and sexier than the offerings by either of their competitors, Armacham's MCAs were and are still considered the most striking ones available. And they honestly are. I mean, so this is 1998. Everything looks very polygonal and stuff.
Yes.
But even saying that, they are decidedly less big boxes welded together. And the Armacham Ordog looks, it looks kind of nice. It looks sleek. It looks like an actual person with like fins coming off their back.
I was gonna say, is it less rectangles and more triangles?
It's more smooth shapes.
Okay.
It's more, you're looking at individual limbs rather than just a big box moving around.
Okay.
The Shogo Akuma is kind of the same idea, but it's just not as sleek looking. It's a lot more like hard edges and everything.
Okay.
Yeah. And the big box one is about as close as we get to the Western style, like mech warrior, big, heavy feet and guns for arms and stuff.
Right.
Of course, form without function is useless, and Armacham delivers there as well. While not as rugged as the other rugged or sophisticated as the other twos, Armacham designs are reliable and hardy. Basically, this is going to be a corporate war in some ways, as you can guess.
Yeah.
The UCA originally intended as a joint venture that would ensure the continued profitability and expansion of the three organizations that founded it, took on a life of its own almost immediately. With its status as the primary regulatory agency for interstellar commerce kind of solidified, the UCA quickly swelled into an unwieldy bureaucracy.
Oh, yeah. I've made myself essential, so now I've made myself essential for everything.
Yeah. Eventually, it was able to shake loose of its corporate overlords and restructure itself and become more efficient, simultaneously forming the United Corporate Authority Security Force. Sorry, not Space Force.
Not the Space Force.
security force, basically their military branch,
Yeah.
which would soon become the dominant military power in existence.
Oh.
Corporate military power is the strongest military power. It's kind of like that old, I don't know if it's an urban legend, but like Pepsi having a battleship at one point.
Oh, no. There's literally a series called Pepsi Where's My Jet. They had a commercial where they claimed if you got enough of a certain type of tickets, you could get a jet. And they didn't bother to put in fine print that the jet was a joke. And the attorneys on Pepsi's side thought that they were fine.
Nope.
And
someone will buy all the Pepsi.
Yeah, there's a 3-part series about how it basically became a business venture for this young guy who had like an older business mentor who said, all right, I'll front you the money. Do you want to try to get the jet? He's like, yeah, we can do great stuff with it. We'll rent it out and stuff. It's a fascinating tale. Very fascinating.
So within a decade, it was the UCASF was involved in the manufacture of deep space vessels, aircraft, ground-based vehicles, and MCAs. Basically, they're manufacturing their own mechs and stuff now, too. What makes Kato especially enticing and useful is its unique chemical composition. Being of an organic nature, Kato at first seemed comparable to petroleum, a vestigial remnant of ancient indigenous life. Upon further examination, however, it was discovered that Kato is actually alive in some sense, though we're talking on the level of algae. We're not talking sentience.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. The importance of Kato derives from its reaction to high temperatures. When burned, so burning a living organism.
I was going to say, when high heat is applied to the organism,
yeah,
you can't burn it. What you're telling, burning it means death of cells, so I don't think that's what they mean.
No, because Kato passes through Kato passes through several stages of recomposition before losing its volatility.
Oh, so it can reconstitute itself?
Well, they're clearly killing off whatever's in it. Whatever it is. So each of these stages produces an immense amount of energy, but it's what happens at the subatomic level that proves the most beneficial. Can you see why I was surprised to find that there was this much detail?
We're talking about personal quarks now. We're literally, wow.
In the course of its chemical breakdown, Kato emits a tachyon field that can be harnessed to allow an object, such as a vehicle, contained within the field to tunnel, thereby traveling at superliminal speeds. Space travel without Kato energy would be like walking from New York to Los Angeles versus flying there, and this is funny, you can tell when this was written, in a Concorde.
Oh my God. Wait. So it's traveling from one space to another. It's basically almost like teleportation.
Yeah. It's tunneling. Yeah, it's quantum tunneling.
Okay.
They literally say move from one place to another without passing through the increment of space in between.
Okay. All right.
So it's quantum tunneling.
So
wormholes.
Wormholes.
Yeah.
It's wormholes. Okay. Wormholes. All right.
We're not theoretical physicists, but
all I know is
we know our Star Trek physics.
Years ago, they just said, imagine if you've two spots on a piece of paper. When you're doing a wormhole, you're folding those two pieces of paper together. You shouldn't be able to go there without drawing the line together, but because you folded the paper, it works.
Yeah.
That's my understanding.
As a result of all of this, the population of Cronus grew steadily and rapidly, even when the first underground colony of Avernus was devastated by a series of powerful earthquakes that led to a mass migration to the burgeoning city of Maritropa. Avernus, although abandoned, continued an eerie quasi-life of its own, for its geothermal energy supply still pumped life through the city, powering street lamps, heating ducts, atmospheric processors, hydroponic farms, and condensation collectors.
Oh, wow.
The few of those who had chosen to remain behind were able to sustain themselves with a minimal amount of maintenance and repair. And that tracks. Geothermal is one of the hardiest systems when it comes to maintenance. As long as you can do the minor maintenance it needs, it'll just keep going.
Though sometimes geothermal stuff does still need a repair here and there.
Yes.
But I only.
But it's a lot harder than other systems from what I've
Hardier.
read.
Yeah, I think we had actually.
Hardier, not harder. A lot hardier.
Mystic, you would know this because this is around the time we first started dating. That's the senior housing I was in, I think, was geothermally heated.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it was on a hill. It made sense, I think. There
Yeah.
was something. It was a weird system.
So many of these holdouts left in Avernus, dubbed stragglers, were former miners driven to psychological breakdown by the pressures of long hours, horrible working conditions, and long-term exposure to raw Kato residue.
Oh, is the Kato going to do something bad to you? Who would have guessed?
Which had been demonstrated to have a corrosive effect on unprotected flesh, even in particulate form, leading to respiratory ailments,
Yeah.
skin rashes, and blindness.
Yeah, that's what I want to do. Is go blind.
Though the term straggler was originally aimed at those who had remained in Avernus, it eventually grew to encompass anyone displaying characteristics of exposure.
Oh, wow. So you need to wear like a full-on bodysuit if you're going to deal with this stuff. Okay.
Maritropa, unlike its ailing sister city, was intended from its incorporation to be a sparkling metropolis that afforded all the accustomed luxuries of other comparatively vital colony worlds to its diverse inhabitants.
Does it also have its own script? Its own
script.
Its own.
It's all bells.
It's all bells.
That is our episode 100 stream, if you want to check that out, where we played Animal Crossing.
Bells.
Stop. The vast, snaking, reinforced cavern system that housed Maritropa flourished with greenery, artificial light, and cosmopolitan life. Unsurprisingly,
oh no!
For all of its self-imposed glory, Maritropa wasn't in fact a utopia.
Oh yeah, no, there's of course that's not happening.
The lower sectors of the city eventually began to fall into disrepair as the aristocracy moved to the canopy section, a series of buildings suspended from the cavern ceiling using a new material called styon, which was an Armacham development. Basically, extremely high tensile building supply and stuff to basically just anchor it to the ceiling of the cavern.
So you're willing to have your house dangle like an ornament on a Christmas tree?
Yeah. Now imagine living in the slums and looking up and seeing, like, literally the 1% are living in the sky. Like, not the sky, but like your sky is their houses.
Yeah, your sky is their houses. Well, I just can't imagine being comfortable enough with my life that I'd want to be living in a dangling house like that. And especially off of something.
People who have money don't have a lot of common sense half the time, so it's okay.
Hey now. Don't speak ill of people like Dolly Parton like that.
Fair enough. You can likely see where this is going, though.
Yeah, no, this is bad.
This is literal social stratification.
Yes, this is bad.
Which tends to lead to one outcome.
Eat the
rich. It may take a lot of time to get there, but eventually it leads to, we're just going to burn the system down.
Eat the rich. Yeah, we're going to eat the rich. They're hanging up there like apples on a tree anyway. What do they expect us to do? Not pluck the fruit?
Unfortunately for any early resistance, the Cronian Mining Consortium, the governing body for the colony, had long been growing eager for autonomy from the UCA. Since they controlled pretty much the only known source of Kato, they had a huge bargaining chip, offset only by the fact that they had no military of their own.
Mm-hmm.
So they began bolstering their military in secret, aided by a covert treaty with Andhra Biomechanics.
Interesting. Okay.
The UCA was actually aware of the buildup, but Akaraju was instructed not to interfere for reasons that, well, frankly, he was never told why.
They secretly owned them too?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Unfortunately, Akaraju's superiors had underestimated just how much of a buildup Cronian Mining Consortium, had managed. A huge mercenary fleet arrived in the system a mere 2 hours before the CMC actually proclaimed its independence and issued its terms.
Oh, wow.
The UCA was hit unprepared and forced to retreat from Cronus's high orbit under heavy fire. For the next 18 months,
wow,
the UCA executed a series of covert operations designed to undermine the Cronian resistance by removing key individuals.
Yeah, that makes sense. That's classic American style.
Although the overall success rate of these missions was marginal at best, the plan eventually succeeded, and the Cronians agreed to negotiate an accord.
Mm-hmm.
It was around this time that a terrorist group calling themselves the Fallen surfaced. Their initial attacks were designed to undermine UCA faith in the CMC and actually ended up delaying the treaty process by several months.
Oh, wow.
Once the existence of the terrorist was established, though, the CMC requested UCA assistance in rounding up the faction. Sanjuro, who by this time had earned the rank of commander,
Right.
led his squad consisting of Toshiro, Baku, and Kura on a mission into Avernus, basically the dilapidated city, in search of a fallen leader acting on intelligence obtained during a raid in Maricopa.
Okay.
The mission ended with Toshiro, Kura, and Baku missing and presumed dead.
Oh, God. What the heck?
Yeah, we do hear a little bit of an after-action interview, I guess. They had all been taken out by what literally was just called an incredibly powerful energy weapon.
Okay.
Shinjuro's screen was damaged in the attack, and as he recovered, he shot and destroyed what he thought was an assassin mech.
Okay.
Basically, I couldn't see the head. It looks like an assassin. I'm shooting it.
Right.
Only to later find out that it was Kura.
No. No.
Toshiro blindsided Sanjuro's mech after he destroyed Kura. Toshiro stood there chanting something, but before Sanjuro could get any answers, a tremor hit, collapsing the level, and Kura, Toshiro, and Baku were just gone, falling into the chasm.
No.
Sanjuro, still reeling from the Avernus tragedy, literally, they're like, why'd you walk up to the edge of the chasm when your screen was broken? He goes, I wasn't thinking clearly. The person I loved, who I just shot, and everyone else I cared about, died. Like,
you put us all together so we would have something to fight for, and then get very upset when suddenly I had something to fight for.
yeah,
Did you not see this happening?
They literally
Like-
say your conduct during this interview will be noted, and he's like, "Are you serious?"
Wait, what? Wait, we're gonna interview me? I'm not allowed to grieve?
he goes, he was interviewed. This is more like an interrogation.
Oh,
Like,
that's fair.
Yeah. Shinjiro, still reeling from the Avernus tragedy, was placed on probation for, quote, inability to perform his duties in a professional, responsible manner due to severe psychological stress sustained in combat. Basically, he has PTSD and was required to attend physical and psychological evaluations for a period of time.
Evaluations or actual therapy? Like, are we going to actually try to heal this guy, or are we just going to let him suffer?
I think it was therapy of some sort.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's just like when people say, oh, yeah, and then he was put under
He'll get better.
evaluation. It's like, yeah, evaluation means you're going to, like, see what the status is. But then
Fair.
you have to, like, actually... No, I'm not saying it's on you, Mystic. I'm just saying that I think sometimes in writing, people say certain words to sound really official, not understanding what they're saying is not, one, what is the standard practice, and then two, a good idea.
Right.
So
He spent most of his free time, though, with Catherine, who helped him cope with what had happened, even as he helped her manage her own grief.
right. Okay.
In time, what had begun as mutual comfort turned into romance.
Yeah, that's a classic problem.
Yeah.
Well, I'd say a quote-unquote problem.
Yeah. Catherine, who had always harbored a deep affection for Shinjiro, understood that his feelings for her were rooted more in a desperate sort of need than in any actual romantic love. But she hoped that time would soften his grief and allow him to love her, which sounds a bit... Well, it is a massive...
It's super naive.
It's super naive. It's a massive trope in the genre.
It's a massive trope. And also, I just want anybody to know, if you're ever in a situation like this in real life, don't do it. Just stop and walk away. You're worth somebody who wants you for who you are, not because you happen to somewhat fit the little puzzle piece that they've lost in their made-up puzzle.
Yeah.
Like, it's ridiculous.
Therapy.
Get yourself to
Therapy.
therapy. I like how we used to, our thing was getting political, and now ours is like, get yourself therapy. Some therapy.
The Fallen, meanwhile, grew stronger and more organized. Military intelligence attributed the transformation to a new leader elected to replace Ivan Asarovich, who was killed in the Avernus incident. The new leader, known only as Gabriel, rallied the historically fragmented Fallen into a fighting force capable of posing an actual serious threat to the CMC.
Oh.
Following is an extract from a public statement issued by Gabriel to the population of Cronus and the various interests in orbit around her. We, the fallen children of Earth, our ancestral home, are the rightful heirs and stewards of Koth. We will tolerate no further exploitation of her bounty, no further taking of her gifts. Those who oppose the will of Koth shall be expunged. Those who leave will do so with our blessing. Those who remain will perish.
Okay, well, so that's called a war, then, it sounds like to me.
Final proof of the Fallen's viability came mere hours after they seized a remote but well-defended CMC geological station. The CMC's military fragmented, nearly a third of its soldiers declaring loyalty to Gabriel and the Fallen.
Is there a reason why the Fallen is led by somebody named Gabriel?
I'm sure somebody thought it was clever in writing.
Yeah, I mean, I've been guilty of that too, let's be honest.
I'm not going to judge. Also, 98.
Yeah. The only other
98 anime inspired.
Wait, the only other thing I would accept is a Peter Gabriel reference, just because that makes me laugh.
The ensuing chaos presented a variety of opportunities and problems for the UCA. Akaraju's prime directive was to recapture Cronus for the UCA, thereby ensuring the continued harvest of Kato. The UCA and the CMC had been on the verge of a compromise that wasn't especially satisfying to either party, but at least provided a foundation upon which to build. With the CMC hobbled by its own partial collapse and a fanatical army preparing a massive and potentially apocalyptic assault on Maritropa, the situation had changed dramatically in a short amount of time. Neither the UCA nor the CMC considered abandoning Kronos, or Koth, as the Fallen called it, a palatable option. But the CMC was no longer capable of defending itself.
Yeah, I mean, there comes a point where, is it palatable? No, but is it the only thing you have to eat other than crow?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They could hold out for a while, but ultimately they would fail. Their predicament afforded the UCA a certain amount of leverage. The UCA, meanwhile, might be able to intervene and overtake the Fallen, but the battle for Kronos would take a heavy toll and might lead to less than desirable outcome considering the obvious fanaticism and newfound discipline of the Fallen's legions. Akaraju's recommendation to the UCA High Command was simple. Eliminate Gabriel by any means necessary and watch as the Fallen crumble. After all, the Admiral asserted, it was Gabriel who had united the terrorists into a fighting force. Likewise, it was his charisma that had lured a third of the Cronian militia away from the CMC. How he had spread his influence so thoroughly was unknown, but its effects were self-evident. He was the key. The plan was authorized without discussion, and the details left in Akaraju's hands.
And then this is the part where essentially they bomb the social media and they tell them to actually go follow somebody else, right?
He had only to decide who to send, and he chose Sanjuro, which is where the game essentially begins. There's like a small brief
backstory thing.
Backstory mission, and then you wake up. Catherine wakes you up being like, yeah, I think I saw your ID on the desk, on the nightstand.
Oh, okay.
And yeah, so that's what we'll start, hopefully, for our stream.
Yeah, if everything works. So, Mystic, I would suggest our patrons should suggest our backup options. But if you would like to join us and see what we're playing, the Thursday after this is released is when we will do the live stream.
Hopefully Shogo.
Of hopefully the first hour Shogo, but if not, something fun, and we'll talk about how we wish Shogo was here. And then alternate Thursdays, so the Thursdays before we release an episode is when we do the live stream of Mass Effect. So we always invite you guys to come. We love talking to the audience. And
so thoughts on Shogo?
Thoughts on Shogo. Tropey McTroperson.
Very much so.
So trope. There's so many tropes.
There are so many things here we've touched on before, but the corporations I find the most interesting.
Yeah, because it becomes more kind of like nation-state relationships because of how big they are.
Yeah, it's kind of
it's very political.
It's kind of like you're melding Japanese like the Japanese anime and mecha genre with cyberpunk.
Yes.
In a way.
You're definitely doing some of that. The everybody was close to you, fell away at the same time thing is definitely a trope. The I fell in love with you because you happened to be here trope.
To dive even further into that trope, they all fall away from you, but you don't see a body.
Yeah, that's definitely part of the trope. You know,
people know what that means, I'm sure.
The we all grew up together trope. That's tropey.
Yeah, that's such a common trope in the like when we do Final Fantasy again. That is like most of the Final Fantasies. It feels like
this is actually
I could be wrong actually on that.
And a lot of those tropes you're gonna find in a lot of the animes you mentioned earlier, Dragon Ball Z and Gundam and all of that. Like we've all known each other for all our lives. We don't know any better. Oh my god, I thought you were dead. And then seasons later, oh my god, you actually were alive. Well, you didn't even check for a body. What's wrong with you?
Yeah.
And then possibly even, who knows how the video game goes, resentfulness because you didn't look for them.
Yeah. I mean, we say it's tropes.
Yeah.
But again, this was at least early days for the U.S. zeitgeist, the Western zeitgeist.
Oh, yeah. No, this was new to us back then, for sure. I will say this is another reason why I like the idea that Cowboy Bebop should be everybody's first anime, because it kind of abandons a lot of the tropes.
Yes.
So you finally get into the flexibility of the art form with that. But
we will not turn this into an anime.
No, we won't. But you got me in that headspace. So it's tropey. I'm not now, and I don't want anybody to think that I think tropes are necessarily bad. I will harp more on a really bad unique choice than I will on a tired trope. I'll be
because
honest.
when it comes to a lot of genres of gaming, there are just so many. I mean, all the stuff we consume, TV shows, movies, there's tropes in them all. That's why TV tropes as a website exists.
Yeah, and I will say there are some. I will harp on possibly more likely a problematic trope, like the ones that essentially are based on some sort of prejudice.
Yeah,
but other than that, like, you lean. I mean, I lean heavily on tropes, but we read stuff with tropes all the time. I was just talking about with a friend at work about, as much as I love reading super thoughtful books, I end up writing the most pulpy stuff. And it's because part of me just loves the pulpy stuff, and I can't get enough of it. Yeah. And that's tropey, and it's just the way it is. And those, I don't know, there's something about it. Like it's kind of like I have this sweater and my favorite one is green, but I love it so much. I also got it in gray, black, red, and blue. That's kind of how I feel about it sometimes.
So yeah, it's tropey, but
yeah, it doesn't, and I do appreciate the amount of thought that they've put into this too. It's a pretty well fleshed out world. It's a sci-fi asking interesting questions.
Yeah.
And I want Gabriel to be a Peter Gabriel reference now. I want the final boss scene to be playing In Your Eyes in the background, but like a dance techno version.
So I will spoil a little bit of the game. There is the choice towards, I forget where it is in the game exactly, but there is a choice. Do you join the Fallen? And that changes the last mission of the game.
You are the DJ with the Peter Gabriel song.
Yeah. Anyway, we'll leave it there. We're not going to get to the final mission. So thank you all for listening.
Thanks so much, guys. We'll catch you next time.
Yep. Hope to see you at streams, and we'll catch you next episode.
All right.
Bye
guys.